Aisha sat in the living room, her eyes glued to the phone in her hands. Her fingers hovered over the screen, trembling slightly as she read the message from her husband, Imran. "I'll be late tonight, love. Don't wait for me. Grab dinner from outside." The words seemed innocent enough, but something in the way they were written triggered a sense of unease deep in her gut. She had seen this behavior before: strange texts, long nights, secretive conversations. It wasn't the first time she had felt something was off, but this message felt different. This one felt like the tipping point. Aisha sat in silence for a moment, replaying the thoughts that had been circling in her mind for weeks now. She couldn't ignore it any longer. Imran's recent actions, his distant behavior, his constant need for space, all of it was starting to piece together like a puzzle she wasn't sure she was ready to solve. A deep breath escaped her as she looked back down at her phone, the unease in her chest growing. She needed to know. She needed to see for herself. Her thoughts drifted back to that afternoon when she had found an unfamiliar name scribbled on a scrap of paper in the pocket of Imran's jacket. Sophia. The name seemed innocent enough, but then the address and phone number written below it had caught her attention. The address belonged to a restaurant in the city, one that she had never heard of before. Her instincts told her it wasn't a coincidence. Aisha, still sitting on the couch, clenched her fists. She had always prided herself on trusting her husband, on giving him the benefit of the doubt, but something had changed. Something was different now. She wasn't going to wait around and wonder any longer. She had to find out the truth. The day dragged on, the clock ticking by in slow, agonizing minutes. She couldn't get the thought of Sophia out of her mind. What if it was true? What if Imran was seeing someone else? Aisha knew she couldn't just sit there and do nothing. Her heart heavy with a mixture of anger and sadness, she began to make a plan. If he was going to be with someone else, she would find out. And if he was, she would confront him in the most unexpected way. The evening came, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, Aisha found herself in the kitchen, rolling out dough for a pizza. It was almost as if she was on autopilot, her hands moving instinctively, her mind a storm of emotions. She wasn't sure why she was making a pizza for this, but it felt fitting. Imran always loved pizza, always came home hungry after a long day. But tonight, Aisha would make sure he got more than just food. She would make sure he got a piece of reality, one that he hadn't prepared for. Once the pizza was ready, she picked up the phone and dialed the number from the piece of paper. Her heart raced as the line connected, and she was greeted by a friendly voice on the other end. "Hello, Sophia's Pizzeria. How may I help you?" Aisha swallowed hard, steadying her voice. "I'd like to place an order for delivery. A large pizza with extra toppings, please. And make sure it's delivered to Sophia's table, for my husband and his guest." She paused for a moment, then added, "It's very important. Please make sure it's taken care of." She hung up the phone, her hands shaking slightly. She had done it. There was no turning back now. The drive to the address was long and quiet, the only sound being the hum of the engine. Aisha's mind raced, imagining all the possible scenarios that could unfold. When she finally arrived, she parked a little distance away from the building, trying to stay out of sight. The apartment complex was upscale, the kind of place Imran had always dreamed of living in. Aisha's heart was pounding in her chest as she got out of the car, the pizza box clutched tightly in her hands. She didn't know what she was expecting, maybe a confrontation, maybe a moment of clarity, or maybe something else entirely. But as she walked toward the door, she realized that no matter what happened, this was her moment of truth. She knocked on the door, her mind spinning. Moments passed, and then the door opened. A woman stood there, her hair perfectly styled, wearing a confident smile. She looked surprised to see Aisha standing there with a pizza box in hand. "Can I help you?" the woman asked, her voice smooth and polite. Aisha didn't respond immediately. Instead, she just stared at the woman, taking in her every detail. This was Sophia. She was everything Aisha was not: young, confident, and seemingly unaware of the storm that was about to hit. Aisha's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it as she spoke. I have a pizza delivery for you, Aisha said, holding the box out toward Sophia. It's from your friend. Sophia looked puzzled for a moment, then took the box. Thanks. But I wasn't expecting anything. She smiled politely, about to close the door, but Aisha stepped forward, blocking her. You're expecting something, Aisha said, her voice cold. And you're expecting someone. My husband. Imran. He's your guest tonight, isn't he? The color drained from Sophia's face as she took a step back, realizing what was happening. Aisha could see the panic rising in her eyes. Aisha didn't give her a chance to speak. Instead, she turned toward the sound of footsteps coming from behind Sophia. Imran appeared in the doorway, looking shocked and caught off guard. His face paled when he saw Aisha standing there, the weight of the situation sinking in. Aisha, what are you doing here? Imran stammered, his voice filled with disbelief. Aisha looked him in the eye, her expression unreadable. I thought I'd bring you a little surprise, Imran. You always said you loved pizza. There was an awkward silence as Imran stood frozen, not knowing how to react. Sophia, still holding the pizza, looked at both of them in confusion. She had no idea how to handle the situation, but the guilt was written all over her face. I hope you enjoy your dinner, Aisha said with a bitter smile, turning on her heel and walking away. As Aisha made her way back to the car, she felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. She had done what she came to do, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like the end of something she had tried to hold on to for too long. As she drove home, her phone buzzed with a message from Imran. We need to talk. Please don't do this. I'm sorry. Aisha didn't respond immediately. Instead, she thought about the night ahead, knowing that whatever happened next, she was in control now. She would decide what came next. But for the moment, she just wanted to drive away from the life she had known and toward something new, something stronger.